South Africa isn't the richest country in the world. It doesn't have the biggest population, and it doesn't pour billions into player development programs. Yet, it keeps producing world-class athletes. Rugby and cricket world champions, Olympic gold medalists, record-breaking sprinters, swimmers, and fighters. Many developed nations invest heavily to compete across a range of sports. South Africa has achieved greater success despite a far more complex political and economic history. On paper, this shouldn't be possible. So how does South Africa keep punching above its weight on the world stage? Some countries tend to produce high quality professionals across one, two, or sometimes three different sports. Take India and cricket, Brazil and football, or New Zealand and rugby. Their systems, culture, and resources concentrate into a narrow pipeline, creating world class specialists, but limiting the range of elite athletes they produce. South Africa, however, breaks this pattern completely. Rather than excelling in one sport, they consistently produce world class performers across a variety of sporting codes, a feat few nations can match. South Africa is one of only four countries in the world that have qualified for World Cups in football, rugby, and cricket. What makes this more impressive is that the other three nations, England, New Zealand, and Australia, are all far wealthier countries with long established sporting institutions, political stability, and decades of investment. Their professional leagues are well funded, their facilities are world class, and the development pathways have been built over generations. So, why is South Africa still outperforming them? Well, it starts with the people. South Africa's multi sport strength is rooted in a deeply diverse talent pool, shaped by colonial history and fragmented sporting cultures. Under apartheid, sport was segregated along racial and geographic lines. This meant that different communities developed deep traditions in different sports, often in isolation from one another. As a result, pockets of excellence emerged across the country. Rugby flourished in parts of the Western Cape and Free State, cricket and hockey developed strongholds in Gauteng, and football was played in the streets of most townships. This isn't to say athletes didn't emerge from different parts of the country, just that some regions had established systems, rivalries, and knowledge that allowed specific sports to thrive. So when these one separate systems converged after 1994, South Africa didn't start from scratch. Instead, it combined multiple parallel pipelines of excellence into a single national ecosystem. The result was a country drawing elite athletes from different backgrounds, body types, skill sets, and sporting cultures, all feeding into shared development pathways. This diversity forms the foundation of South Africa's ability to compete on so many fronts. Now, a deep talent pool matters, but talent alone isn't enough. Just as important is how that talent is developed. South Africa's school sports system is one of the most competitive and expansive in the world. Crucially, it produces depth across multiple sporting codes rather than funneling them all into one. Compare this to other models. In the US, schools typically field one team per sport, with heavy emphasis on early selection. In Europe, young athletes are often channeled into club systems at a very early age. Both approaches have their advantages, but they share a weakness. If you don't stand out early, you're often left behind. Now, South Africa's system works differently. Schools field layers of teams. A single school can have 20 or 30 teams per sport, all competing weekly across a full calendar of fixtures. This creates a massive participation base. Elite players compete against top opposition. Developing players compete against peers of a similar ability, and late bloomers stay in the system long enough to catch up. Because entire schools are involved, sport becomes a community project. Teachers, parents, alumni, and local clubs all invest, building the strength and tradition of the system. This depth feeds directly into interprovincial tournaments, where multiple age groups and performance tiers compete simultaneously. The result is a broad, layered pipeline that identifies and develops talent far more inclusively and consistently than most countries can match. And player development doesn't end there. While some athletes may transition straight from school to a professional setup, many others take the varsity sports route. This pipeline extends development, providing athletes with a competitive bridge between the school and professional setups. Varsity sports programs provide high performance environments where players compete while simultaneously pursuing tertiary education. This model allows athletes more time to mature physically and mentally, reducing the pressure to make it as a teenager. Now, to be clear, South Africa's grassroots development isn't perfect. Resources are limited, facilities aren't guaranteed, and many athletes succeed despite the system, not because of it. And yet, South Africa keeps producing elite athletes. South Africa's success isn't about genetic superiority, it's about volume, variation, and pressure. Large numbers of kids play sport, they play often, they play seriously, and they play against real competition from a young age. Because the system is wide rather than narrow, it doesn't rely on identifying the chosen ones early. It lets talent emerge naturally. Late bloomers survive, multi sport athletes often cross pollinate their skills, physical freaks don't get lost just because they didn't peak at 15. And because sport is so culturally embedded across schools, provinces, and communities, competition is constant. Nothing is handed out. Every level is earned. That environment creates athletes who are adaptable, mentally tough, and used to pressure long before they reach the world stage. So when South Africa shows up in rugby, cricket, athletics, swimming, or even newer sports, it's not a miracle. It's a country that almost accidentally built one of the deepest sporting ecosystems in the world and then learned how to keep feeding it. No shortcuts, no superhuman genes, no DNA, just RSA.